dive into the pulsing heart of Asia, where an ongoing conflict has been brewing for decades, the ever-intensifying standoff between China and Taiwan. This is not a recent clash of ideologies or a sudden power struggle, but a conflict deeply rooted in history, stretching back to the mid-20th century. In the aftermath of the Second World War, China was a nation divided. The Chinese Civil War, a fierce battle between the nationalists and the communists for control of the country, led to a split that would define the region for generations to come. In 1949, the nationalists were driven from the mainland, retreating to the island of Taiwan and establishing it as an independent entity. This marked the beginning of a complex and contentious relationship. To this day, China upholds its One China policy, asserting that Taiwan is an inalienable part of its territory. It views any attempt at Taiwanese independence as a grave provocation. Taiwan, on the other hand, has been striving for international recognition as a sovereign nation with its own government, economy, and identity. However, the political landscape is not black and white. Taiwan, despite its lack of formal diplomatic recognition, has managed to carve out a significant global presence. It is a major player in the world's technology sector, a thriving democracy, and a beacon of human rights in a region where such values are often under threat. Yet this pursuit of independence and international recognition has always been shadowed by the looming presence of China. The tension between the two has been a tightrope walk, a delicate balance of asserting independence while avoiding outright conflict. As the years rolled on, this unresolved conflict started gaining global attention, setting the stage for a geopolitical chess game. In the next scene, we will dive deeper into how these tensions have escalated over the years, shaping not just the futures of China and Taiwan, but also influencing global politics and power dynamics. Fast forward to the 21st century, the conflict has escalated, punctuated by a series of alarming events. As the pages of the calendar turned over, the conflict between China and Taiwan took a more heated turn. China's military presence near Taiwan has been on the rise, with the buffer zone seeing an increased number of Chinese jets and warships. This show of military might is seen as a response to Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen's recent visit to the United States. A staggering 59 Chinese jets and 11 warships were reported near Taiwan's territory, with some even crossing into its air defense identification zone. This series of events has added fuel to the fire of the existing conflict and has raised eyebrows around the globe. But it's not just Taiwan that's feeling the heat. The United States, too, has been drawn into the fray, given its long-standing support for Taiwan. In a move that mirrors China's show of force, the United States demonstrated its military presence in the South China Sea by sending a destroyer near the Mischief Reef, an area claimed by China. But the tensions don't stop there. China's territorial claims in the South China Sea continue to be a bone of contention. The United States, along with other nations, has been advocating for freedom of navigation in the region, a stance that is at odds with China's territorial ambitions. Furthermore, China introduced a new maritime law that requires foreign vessels to provide detailed information before entering what it calls Chinese territorial waters. This move has raised further concerns of potential conflict with the US and Japan. These incidents have led to a significant escalation in tensions, and the conflict is not just about Taiwan and China anymore. It has effectively turned into a global affair involving major world powers. The stakes are high, and the world is watching closely as the situation unfolds. These actions have not only rattled the region, but have also drawn the world's attention to the Taiwan Strait, a potential flashpoint for international conflict. From the waters of the Taiwan Strait to the corridors of global power, the China-Taiwan conflict has become a global affair. Its implications extend far beyond the regional borders, influencing the strategic dynamics of world powers like the United States and Japan. At the heart of this global affair are the contentious maritime laws introduced by China. These laws, requiring foreign vessels to provide detailed information before entering what China considers its territorial waters, have sparked tensions with other nations. There's a significant concern that these laws could lead to conflict in far-off waters, given their potential to contradict well-established international maritime laws. The United States, a key player in the Pacific and a long-standing ally of Taiwan, has expressed strong opposition to these actions. In a bid to challenge Beijing's maritime claims, especially in the South China Sea, it has conducted several freedom of navigation operations. These actions underscore the U.S.'s commitment to maintaining open access to these crucial waterways, an essential facet of global trade and military strategy. Across the Pacific, Japan, a nation with its own territorial disputes with China, is closely monitoring the situation. The East China Sea, home to the contested Senkaku Islands, has become a hotspot for Chinese incursions into Japanese waters. The rising tensions fueled by these maritime disputes have put the security of the region at stake. The China-Taiwan conflict is no longer a regional issue. It's a global affair affecting international diplomacy, power dynamics, and the stability of the world's most populous region. With the world's eyes fixed on the South China Sea, this conflict has become an examination of the global order, testing the resolve of nations to uphold international law and maintain peace. With the world's eyes fixed on the South China Sea, the China-Taiwan conflict has become a test of international diplomacy and power dynamics. Now, in the present day, the conflict continues to simmer, with tensions running high and peace hanging by a thread. The region stands as a volatile stage where power plays and diplomatic maneuvers unfold. China has been flexing its military muscle, conducting exercises near Taiwan, and deploying warships in the buffer zone. This show of force is seen as a response to Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen's visit to the United States, a move that certainly did not sit well with Beijing. On the other side of the coin, Taiwan reported the presence of 59 Chinese jets and 11 warships near its territory, with some even daring to cross into its air defense identification zone. These actions have raised alarm bells, heightening concerns over a potential military confrontation. Meanwhile, the United States, a key player in this geopolitical chess game, has not been a silent spectator. In a demonstration of its commitment to the freedom of navigation, the U.S. dispatched a destroyer near the Mischief Reef, a disputed territory claimed by China in the South China Sea. This move is seen as a direct challenge to China's territorial claims and a reinforcement of the U.S.'s support for Taiwan. However, despite the escalating tensions, all parties involved express a desire for peace. They recognize the potential risks and the catastrophic consequences of a full-blown military conflict. Yet the struggle lies in finding concrete measures to avoid such an outcome. The lack of effective communication channels and the persistence of deep-seated issues continue to throw a wrench into peacemaking efforts. In Japan, the situation is watched with growing concern. The country has been feeling the pressure of the escalating tensions, with Russian and Chinese warships observed near its territory. As relations deteriorate over issues such as Ukraine and Taiwan, the naval activities are straining Japan's resources and are viewed as a threat to its security. As the world holds its breath, the future of the China-Taiwan conflict hangs in the balance, a balance that could tip at any moment. As we look to the future, the China-Taiwan conflict remains a complex puzzle, its pieces scattered across the chessboard of global politics. The course of this conflict is unpredictable, hinged on multiple variables and key players. One potential scenario that looms on the horizon is that of a military conflict. Tensions have escalated over the years, with an increase in military exercises and posturing from both China and Taiwan. The presence of U.S. warships in the South China Sea only adds to this tension. A military confrontation, however, is a situation that all involved parties would prefer to avoid. The ramifications would be immense, impacting not just China and Taiwan, but also creating ripples across the global stage. On the other hand, a diplomatic resolution is another possibility. It's a path fraught with challenges, given the deep-seated issues at its core. However, it's not beyond the realms of possibility. A diplomatic approach would require patience, negotiation, and compromise from both sides. It would also necessitate an understanding and acceptance of the other's perspective, a feat easier said than done. In this context, the role of the international community is crucial. The world watches with bated breath, each nation understanding the implications of this conflict on their own geopolitical interests. Their role could range from silent observers to active participants, mediating between the two nations or advocating for peaceful negotiations. It's a delicate balancing act that requires diplomatic finesse and strategic insight. The future of the China-Taiwan conflict is a narrative yet to be written, filled with uncertainties and possibilities. It's a story that will be shaped by the actions and decisions of China, Taiwan, and the international community. In the end, the resolution of the China-Taiwan conflict will not only shape the future of these two nations, but also the geopolitical landscape of the world.